Hello, thank you students. Today I will start the lesson, the problems of India and their solutions. It is the first chapter of the political science. India has faced a number of external as well as internal problems since 1947. From 1947, continuously India is facing a number of problems like the unemployment, corruption, discrimination in the form of that gender discrimination, caste discrimination, regional inequalities, then communalism, status of women, like number of terrorism. Such problems are facing since 1947. These problems have to be managed through efficient administration and the complete support of the people for our democratic governments at the center, at all the levels, at the central level, state level, and also at the local level. When subjects, when the people, when the citizens give their complete support, then only we can root out the problem of unemployment. Here, the solution to be found through the good administration, how we can remove, how we can eradicate such problems through the good administrative system is needed, and social reformation. Social reformation is also needed to root out all the problems. Fast and efficient judiciary. Fast and efficient judiciary is also needed. This solution needs to be lacked by people's support. They all needs the support of the people. Now unemployment, it means it is a situation where a person does not find work in accordance with his capacity or qualification. That is called as unemployment. A situation where a person doesn't get work in accordance with his capacity and his qualification. That is called as unemployment. And India has a huge population, and unemployment is also a big problem. Our population is more than 121 crores. So India is a big population, and there is a big problem of unemployment. Usually population and improved technology are considered as the main reason for the unemployment. The improved technology and population explosion are the main two reasons for the unemployment. Apart from these two, other problems are there. The shortage of natural resources. Shortage of natural resources, it also leads to the unemployment, because in industries, what it requires, first of all, it requires raw materials. Raw materials. When there is a shortage of raw materials, then the factory or the industry will not work. It leads to the unemployment. At the same time, that shortage, then over dependency on agriculture. About 70% of Indian population is depend on the agriculture. But agriculture, what type of agriculture is there in India? In Indian agriculture is said to be a gamble with the monsoon. But our monsoons are uneven, unevenly distributed. So, over dependency on agriculture, it also leads to the unemployment. Then ruined cottage industries. Today, cottage and small scale industries are ruined. They are destroyed. It also leads to the unemployment, because the product of the cottage industry, mostly they are the manual products. But the production of or the goods produced by the large scale industries, they produce a superior quality goods. So they have a great demand in the market. But the goods produced in the small scale and cottage industries, they are man-made, manual, so they are not superior like the large scale industries product. So they have no demand in the market. When there is no supply of the goods and produced in the market, in the industry, the people remain unemployed. That is the ruined cottage industries and lack of skill-based education. Lack of skill-based education. There is a lack of skill-based education is also one of the factor for the unemployment. According to the census of 2011, poverty rate is 21.9%. It indicates a growing problem of unemployment in India. Here poverty line, poverty rate is how much? 21.9%. 21.9%. It indicates the problem of unemployment in India. Here, to solve the problem of unemployment, both central and state government have taken some measures to generate employment to the people. Here, to improve the skill level of the people or the job seekers, so that they can have better access to unemployment, providing the skill, training and skill to the people, then they will get a better access to the employment, providing loans and subsidy to enable people to engage in self-employment. You know, all the government, state government and central government, they are providing loans to the unemployed youths, subsidy to the unemployed youths, enable the unemployed to engage themselves in the self-employment programs. But in reality, when they are engaged in the self-employment, when they are engaged in one industry or when they started the factory, handicraft and product created out of the self-employment are unable to face the competition with the goods created by the globalized economy. But in such case also, when they are given opportunity to start engage in the self-employment, they produce one or the two product, but they are facing some other problems. They are unable to compete with the goods produced by the global economy, and this has further complicated the issue of the unemployment. It also created another complication of the unemployment, because in the self-employment scheme, the unemployed people, they produce the product, but they are not competing with the goods created by the globalized economy. Hence, the solution to inculcate world-class skill. That time what is needed? World-class skill is needed to compete with the globalized economy. So government must provide the world-class skill training to all the unemployed people. Then only they can fight, they can compete with the globalized economy. And apart from that, every citizen of the country should encouraged to indulge in one or the other employment by providing job-oriented courses. Government should start the job-oriented course institutions and provide job-oriented education to all the people. These are the measures to be taken to solve the problem of the unemployment. Now the second important problem facing our country is the corruption. It is the social evil. It is one of the social evil in the public life of India, in the public sphere of India. It is one of the social evil. Now corruption has spread to all the strata of the society. This corruption, it has spread to all the strata, to all the levels of the society. It means offering bribe and following any other illegal means to achieve some illegal benefit is called as a corruption. Here corruption means offering bribe, taking money and following any other illegal means to achieve the illegal benefits. It is called as corruption. And corruption, it stay away from the political framework of the framework in its operation. How it works? It stay away from the legal framework. It stay away from the legal framework in its operation means illegal activity. It is a illegal activity. So it stay away from the legal framework in its operation, and it can be defined as misuse of the public authority for personal gain. It is also defined as misuse of public authority. Misuse of the public authority in for personal gain. The person who misuse the public authority for his own benefit, for his personal gain, that is also called as a corruption. And sweeping away all the procedures for a narrow personal gain can be termed as corruption, and it has become a contagious disease in the personal life. Today, the corruption has become a contagious disease in the public life, in the personal life, and it also influences both personal as well as public sphere of life. It not only influences the public sphere of life, but it also influences the public personal sphere of life. It influences the economic, social, political life of the country negatively. It influences negatively in all the fields. In politics also, it influences negatively in society, in economy. It influences negatively. Here, immoral things from the political angle. These are the immoral things from the political angle. Corruption of personal ethics and morality happens in the personal sphere. Now, the political corruption leads to a crime. How it leads to a crime? It also provides motivation of corruption in public life and nourishes the misadministration on the part of the officials. Corruption nurtures. Corruption nourishes the misadministration on the part of the government officials. They will not work properly. When they take bribe from the public, that time only they work properly. Otherwise, they will not work properly. So that is misuse of the government officials. Things like tax evasion. Things like tax evasion means exemption from giving the tax. Illegal hoarding starts, smuggling activities starts, and economic offences, cheating, violation of international exchange. Violation of international exchange also start, and employment cheating all find space in the corruption. All these things find in the corruption. And to root out such an evil, that corruption, the government and the public has to take some measures to root out corruption by either rejecting it at personal level or going along with it. Either rejecting it at personal level or just going along with the corruption. We have to root out the corruption. It can be rooted out only through the strong public ethics. Strong public ethics is necessary to root out the corruption from the public sphere of life. natural human tendency for selfishness, eagerness to find personal emergencies and personal gain lead to the person to engage in the corruption. What engaged the person? What made the person to engage the corruption? It is the natural tendency. It is the natural character of a people for selfishness. For selfishness purposes, he gave money and take the work complete, and eagerness to fend the personal emergencies. For personal emergencies, the people, they go any one office, give money and get the work completed, and personal gain leads to a person to engage in the corruption. Here, the lack of strict supervision and weak legal enforcement leads to the corruption. Weak legal enforcement, lack of strong legal procedure is also one of the main reasons for the corruption, and political will and public support is inevitable part of tackling the corruption. Here both are required. Political will is required and the public support is also required for tackling the problem of the corruption. And the institutions like Lokpal and Lokayukta can bring down the corruption, and some that Lokpal bill and the Lokayukta institution, they also bring down the intensity of the corruption. Education institutions can also lead in this direction. Education institutions can also lead in this direction by installing CCTV cameras in the government offices and increasing the efficiency of government work. So, installing the CCTV cameras. So, because to root out the corruption, today in all the offices, in all the education institutions, that CCTV cameras are installed to improve the condition, to root out the corruption activities. Measures like awarding harsh punishment for the corrupt officials. You know, that corrupt officials, how they are insulting, they are awarding the harsh punishment, awarding harsh punishments for the corrupt officials can also bring down corruption. It also bring some changes in the corruption, and increasing number of courts and judges can also rein in the corruption. We have to increase the number of courts and judges can also rein the corruption. These are the measures taken to root out the corruption from our Indian society. Now the discrimination, it is based on gender discrimination, caste discrimination and regional inequalities. You know, region is the more evident in India. This type of discrimination is more in our country. Indian society is made up of patriarchal values. You know, Indian society is made up of what? It is made up of the patriarchal values. On the principles of the patriarchal values, Indian society is created. You know, patriarchal society means in a patriarchal society where father is head of the family, that family is called as a patriarchal family. You know, where mother is head of the family, where the assets, where the assets and property is in the name of the mother, that family is called as a matriarchal family. But ours is a patriarchal family. Property is in the name of the father. All the assets and liabilities are in the name of father. So our society is based on the patriarchal values from ancient days. It discriminates the role of men and women according to the patriarchal values. It discriminates, it differentiates the role of men and women according to the patriarchal values. Hence, inequalities are between the men and women in our society. Because of this factor, because of the patriarchal values, our society is based on the patriarchal values. So, the man has got more opportunities. So, there is a discrimination or the difference between the men and women. So, Government of India has undertaken various measures like providing reservation in education and employment, along with providing. So, government has providing reservation in education and employment. It is providing reservation for women in education and employment, along with providing reservation in the elections of local bodies. In elections of the local bodies, women are given 50% of seats reservation in the local body elections. It has reserved 1/3 of seats in local elections. 1/3 of seats, 1/3 of seats are reserved for the women in all the local self-governing bodies. In Karnataka, 50% of reservation has been given to women to local body election. But in our state, in Karnataka, 50% of seats are reserved for the women in all the local self-governing bodies. With this measure, efforts are also on to end and discrimination prevalent between the gender. In spite of all these measures, the discrimination is prevalent between the gender. There is a discrimination between men and women. In spite of all these measures taken by the government, still there is a discrimination between the men and women. That is the gender discrimination. Now the caste discrimination, just like the gender discrimination, caste-based discrimination is also challenged to our country. Here it is the gift of the Indian political system. The caste discrimination, what it is the gift to Indian political system from ancient social system based on the Varnas. During the time of the ancient time, Varna system was there. During that time, Varna system was existed. The Varnas, Kshatriya, Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, such type of Varna system was there. That is, 4 Varnas were there. So, it is a gift of the Indian political system from the ancient social system, which based on the Varnas. Many measures have been undertaken in the constitution itself to prevent the caste-based discrimination. That is, the right for equality and freedom have been included in the section 3 of the Indian Constitution. The right and the right for equality, right of freedom has been included in the 3rd part of the Indian Constitution. But the caste system has continued to live even after these efforts. Even after these efforts, the right to equality, right to freedom are included in the 3rd part of the Indian Constitution. In spite of all these measures, still caste discrimination is prevail in our Indian society. This cannot be solved only with the legal intervention. In order to eradicate caste system, the society also need to prepare itself to accept the change. Society also prepare to itself to accept the change. Society must accept the change. When society accept the change according to the Indian Constitution, then only we can solve the problem of the casteism or the caste system. Now the third, that is regional inequality. Here regional inequality is also like the gender discrimination and caste inequality. It also posed a great problem and challenge to India. Some regions of the country have achieved a lot of progress in all the fields. They have achieved a lot of progress in all the fields like in agriculture, industry, politics, culture, etc. But some part of the country, they are very backward. Still they remained backward. In order to remove such inequalities, Article number 371 has been amended from A to J, to remove such inequality. Article number 371 article has been amended from A to J to improve the condition of the backward areas. Through these amendments, backward regions have been given special status. Through this amendment, through the amendment of Article 371 A to J, the backward areas, the backward regions have given special status. Special status, they are given more opportunities, they are given more funds for the development of the backward regions. In spite of all these measures, the regional inequalities problem has grown to such an extent that many are demanding independent state status. But some regions, they are demanding what? They are demanding independent state status for themselves. Therefore, in Karnataka, in order to address the regional inequalities or to reduce the regional inequalities or imbalance, a committee under the leadership of Dr. D.M. Nanjundappa has been established, and he submitted a special report on various measures needed to solve the regional imbalances in 2001, and some of the most backward regions of Karnataka have been accorded a special status by adding the article 371J. By adding the article 371J, some regions of Karnataka has given a special status for their improvement, for their economic development and social development. So, Dr. D.M. Nanjundappa is under his leadership that regional balance is made under the leadership of the Dr. D.M. Nanjundappa. And according to his report, in Karnataka, most backward regions of Karnataka have been accorded special status by adding the article 371J. Now, communalism, I'll start in the next session. It is communalism, terrorism, and the status of women. These three topics are learned during the second session.